Welcome into the UMBC Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Steve Levy, and sad to see it's our final show of the spring semester. I know the students here, the MCS students, are busily preparing, getting ready for their finals and all the preparations that go into the end of the semester. So hopefully they'll enjoy the experience this afternoon, and we're definitely going to enjoy the experience because we have a new member of our coaching staff to introduce to everyone. Vanessa Mann comes to us, our new head women's soccer coach. I think about 2.5 months now you've been...
12 weeks.
12, okay.
12 weeks.
Okay, I was close. I was close.
Very close, very close.
So, Vanessa, let's talk about your background. As people probably gathered maybe from those first couple of sentences, you come to us from Australia, New South Wales. You've had actually tennis players from New South Wales, Australia, back in the past. But talk about, as growing up there, when you kind of first became aware that, soccer was obviously... your sport, your preferred sport, and when you decided to come to the States and pursue soccer on the collegiate level.
Yeah, well, essentially first generation Australian. Both parents are English, immigrated out to Australia in kind of the early 80s. All we kind of knew was soccer. Dad played professionally for Wolverhampton Wanderers for a little bit before they immigrated out. So it's all we knew. It was that in the winter, and it was kind of that cricket in the summertime. And it got to a point where it definitely as kind of the 13, 14, 15, it became a heavy influence in what we did. We were training or playing 6 days a week. Dad was raising myself and my two sisters, so he was taking us 6 days a week training, which was 2 hours there and 2 hours home. So he was heavily invested in that, and it got to a point we brought out one of our representative teams out to the US and played in a tournament, which is the Surf Cup down in San Diego. Didn't really know about the college scene, got back home and started to get a couple of emails about, hey, we'd love for you to join such and such university and such, and just delved a little deeper into what it was that they were actually asking. And it was the opportunity not only to gain higher education and getting that bachelor's degree, but I could continue my my soccer career at a very high level. And I knew, so one of the schools that actually had reached out was the University of Nevada in Reno, Nevada, and there was 2 Australians on the team. I essentially just said, how are the girls there? And they said, yeah, it's great. And I said, how do you like it there? And they said, yeah, it's great. Oh, okay, well, I'll pack my bags. And I went over. So never seen snow before, never seen real mountains. So that was a first, and an elevation. So yeah, just essentially threw everything into it, and Dad has always said, if you're going to go into something, you go in, and you just don't look back. So I haven't looked back.
Right. So you obviously had a very successful career, playing career at Nevada.
Nevada.
I'm sorry about
You're
that.
Good. You're good.
We
remind everyone. We remind everyone. I got that ingrained in myself. At,
the Wolfpack.
Yes.
The Wolfpack.
Yes, the one and only.
Right. So. The NC State folks would have an argument with you there. But so at what point, I always ask coaches, when did you get bitten by the bug? When did you start to realize that, coaching might be something that you wanted to pursue? And, obviously then you started there and then moved on, eventually keep moving further and further east. But at what point did you really start to think this is something I might really want to pursue?
I get lost sometimes in the coaching and teaching. When we were very young, my dad was always taping like the weekly games, and we would myself and my sister, we would re-watch them with him. And it was, he ingrained in us that to never watch the person with the ball, watch the people off the ball, and how would you manage them if you were in those situations. So I think as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, we were already kind of in that mode. And it got to a point where I was fortunate to assist on my sister's team when I was back in Australia, and got out to the US, and there was a lot more opportunities, and just made sure I surrounded myself with really good people, really good educators of the game, and just continued on that evolution.
So you go to Oklahoma, then to William & Mary, where the last 3 years have been.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden the opportunity comes up at UMBC. What was, obviously it takes 2 to tango. Obviously UMBC is interested in you, but what about UMBC interested Vanessa Mann?
Yeah, so I went to Oklahoma. The reason I got to go there was one of the associate head coach at the time at Oklahoma was one of my assistant coaches at Nevada. Just mentioned that there was a volunteer opportunity. So if you wanna go, you go to the best place that there is. They buy all the bells and whistles. Everything's taken care of. So all I did was carry around a yellow notebook for 12 months and took as many notes as possible. Not only from him, I took notes from like a Patty Gasso, the women's softball coach, KJ Kinla, who is the women's gymnastics coach. All won multiple national championships. Took that over to William & Mary, where I was elevated to a first assistant role. Was able to essentially do anything and everything in that role. And it wasn't just the soccer piece that I needed to get good at. It was how to run the business side of things. What does scheduling look like? How does working with the business office and budgets look like? How does recruiting look like? What is the best way to recruit at that school? And William & Mary is a liberal arts college. So I felt when I was coming to UMBC, I was getting kind of the best of both worlds. So combining not only in Oklahoma, but also a William & Mary. So I'm getting the liberal arts piece here, but we're also competing at a very high athletic level here.
Right.
And the investments here. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. And I need to be near an ocean.
Okay.
So you can understand why I left Oklahoma.
Right.
Yep.
Have you visited any of the Ocean City or Bethany Beach? Oh, great.
I haven't got to like a Bethany Beach, but I've kind of ventured my way out to the Bay. I think there's a couple local restaurants just on the water. I need to be around water. I grew up like 500 yards from the ocean in Australia, so that's where I need to be. There's kind of my non-negotiables. I got to get to an ocean.
Right. So, you come in mid-year, in March, and that's never an easy thing, obviously. The fall semester is done. The spring has already begun.
Yep.
So never obviously an easy thing. But as you mentioned, been here 12 weeks. How has it gone so far? How have the young ladies adapted to you? How have you found them to be? What have the last 12 weeks been like for you?
Everything I do, starts and ends with people. So they're not players, they're not student athletes, they're people. And I work with a lot of people. I work with about 40 different personalities a day. So it was a big thing for me is we do health checks every week. The women come in, they bring in essentially an accountability buddy. You can bring in whoever you want from the team. Whatever you're willing to say in front of her, you're willing to say in front of me. You run it. We'll talk about school, we'll talk about soccer, we'll talk about family, social, whatever it is you want. But I need to get to know you. Because if I can get to know you and develop and cultivate that relationship, I know how to pull the best out of you. So that's what we've currently been doing every week. We've been layering in the things that we're really good at, our habits that we want to be known for. But yeah, it's 12 weeks. I'm very realistic with what I can achieve in 12 weeks. And I said, it's the relationships has been the biggest part.
Right, and so I think you probably answered my question about immersing yourself in the community, because you probably answered it with your answer about people. So I'll kind of almost skip over that one and talk about the obvious question you ask a soccer coach, which is style of play.
Okay.
In terms of your preferred style of play, obviously to fans out there, that's what soccer fans are so interested in. Your ideal situation. How would you prefer to play the game?
Well, I'll ask you a question, Steve. Do you like running? Would you prefer to run less or run more?
I would prefer to run less.
Okay,
This is me talking.
So if we look at a soccer field, we have to defend one goal and we have to attack to another. So if we invest higher up the field with people, if we were to lose the ball closer to the goal that we want to score in, would you rather do that, or would you rather drop off and defend lower?
I think being someone that's followed Coach Caringi's career very closely, I definitely have an offensive mind. So I'm definitely of that mindset. But I know that's not commonplace for a lot of soccer people, though.
So while we're defending, we're also attacking, and that's kind of the philosophy that we've been taking. We've been talking about this spring sharing the load. We can't just rely on 11, 12, 13 people. If we can evolve everyone to a high level physically and tactically and technically, then we're going to be able to last longer. We've only ever been looking at the non-conference and the conference season, but we also forget about the postseason. So
Sure, right.
if we consistently want to go to the NCAAs, we have to look at those 3 seasons. You want to win a national championship, you're going to play in about 25, 26 games a year.
Right.
Tell me what human being can participate in 25, 26 games in about 3.5 months.
Yeah.
You can't, twice a week. So we've been very realistic with our women. We want to share the load. So especially if we want to attack and win the ball higher up the field, we're going to need more people, which means just be really good for about 25, 30 minutes for me. I'll give you a break and I'll get you back on.
Right, right.
Because at the end of the day, if we want to leave here being in multiple championships, whether it's for America East or going to the NCAAs, we're going to need to invest in that, which means you can't make it about you.
That's right, right. No I in team.
Yeah.
Vanessa, it's been such a pleasure to have you here in the spring. We're definitely going to get you back in the fall as we kind of get into your first season. We talk about some of the opponents. Talk about America East soccer, which obviously you'll be new to. Although I'm sure you're probably familiarizing yourself as we go along. But great visit, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in the fall.
Pleasure, appreciate it. Thanks, Steve.
Once again, that's our final show of the Coach's Corner for this spring. It's been a pleasure working with all the students all year long. Hope to be back here next fall talking to Vanessa, Pete Caringi, Christina Robertson, and all the other UMBC coaches. To the students, good luck on finals. Check out the Retrievers as baseball still has a few games left at the end of the year. For Steve Levy, thanks for watching so much. We'll see you next year on the UMBC Coach's Corner.